is anxious to secure. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The goddess of fortune Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh wreath of tulsi leaves offered at your feet by some blessed devotee. Please repeat this translation. The goddess of fortune Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh wreath of tulsi leaves offered at your feet by some blessed devotee. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As previously described, Tulsi has attained all superior qualities due to being placed at the lotus feet of the Lord. The comparison made here is very nice. As the king of bees hovers over the Tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, so Lakshmi, the goddess, who is sought by the demigods, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas and everyone else, always engages in rendering service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The conclusion is that no one can be the benefactor of the Lord. Everyone is actually the servant of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a verse spoken by the Kumaras. They are addressing the Supreme Lord Narayana. They are reiterating that the Lord cannot be favored by anybody. His position is that He only gives favors to others. He does not receive any favors from anybody. He gives an opportunity for others to serve Him for their own benefit, not for His benefit. Just like in the spiritual world, the personal abode of the Lord, there are two categories of devotees. Those belonging to the internal potency and those belonging to the marginal potency. What's the difference between the devotees belonging to the marginal potency and the internal potency? Marginal can fall down. It's not the correct way of putting it. I understand what sense you are telling. They are subject to fall down. They may never fall down, but they are subject to fall down. That means they have the free will which they may misuse, and because of which they will come to the material world. They will be placed in the material world. But the internal potential devotees are simply meant for serving the Lord. Lord's own potency for his personal purposes. So in that way the Lord is independent, completely independent. Even in devotional service he is independent. He is not dependent on some jivas. He is not dependent on his external energy. External energy is also serving the Lord. Internal energy is also serving the Lord. Marginal energy is also serving the Lord. But he is not dependent on the external and the marginal energies. He is not dependent. So he is independent. Swarat. Completely independent. Totally independent. So nobody can do him a favor. If somebody is able to do some service, then that service is his mercy. The opportunity that somebody gets to do service is his mercy. So here it is being described by the Kumaras that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, what is her position actually? She is the dust of her feet is worn on the head by others. Who are the others? Prabhupada says in the purport. Those who are seeking the goddess of fortune are the Devatas, the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas, and everyone else. They are seeking the blessings, the favor, the mercy of the goddess of fortune. That goddess of fortune, she waits upon the Supreme Lord Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, correct? So Lakshmi waits upon Narayana, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees. Which is the abode of the king of bees? Madhu Vratapater Dama Dhamnaha. The king of bees actually is hovering over the fresh tulsi leaves, which are always permanently situated at the lotus feet of the Lord. So the lotus feet of the Lord is the most desired place in the entire Vaikuntha. The most desired place is the lotus feet of the Lord, and that has been secured by Tulsi because of Tulsi's superior qualities, her devotion. So her devotion has secured her the permanent place at the lotus feet of the Lord. So that Tulsi leaf or leaves, Tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of the Lord, the bees are always hovering there. And in between the bees, Lakshmi Devi also has to serve those lotus feet, wants to serve those lotus feet of the Lord. Actually, Lakshmi Devi has got a special position on the chest of the Lord. On the chest of the Lord, she has got a special position. But still, she is very eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, she comes down to the lotus feet of the Lord to serve. She sometimes engages in massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. Sometimes she is worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord. Like that, different services. So, regarding the 9 types of devotional service, one particular service among the 9 types concerns the lotus feet of the Lord. Which is that service? Pada Sevanam. Now, many times devotees think Pada Sevanam means we should actually approach the lotus feet of the Lord and actually render service. But in the purport to one particular verse, which is that verse? The verse which describes the 9 types of devotional service. It's spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. Once Hiranyakashipu called his son after he had finished some Gurukul education. Said, what is the best of what you have learnt in the Gurukul? So he was expecting the son will tell something about economic development, sense gratification, administration, politics, diplomacy. That's what he wanted his son to learn. And that's what the teachers also were willing to teach in the Gurukul. Shanda and Amarka, 2 sons of Shukracharya. Instead, Prahlad was not interested in learning all that. He had already learned whatever he had to learn when he was in the mother's womb. He had learned from Narada about bhakti. And that is the highest education, highest knowledge, king of all knowledge. That's what Krishna says in the 9th chapter. Raja Vidya. What is that Raja Vidya? Bhakti, devotional service, pure devotional service. So that he had already learnt. So for him there is no need to learn anything else. So when his father asked, tell me what is the best of what you have learnt? Then he is telling, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. This is the 7th canto, 5th chapter, 23rd and 24th verses. So, while writing a purport to that, those 2 verses, there to one more verse. Srila Prabhupada has written a very big purport to this. Because describing details about the 9 types of devotional service. So while describing this Pada Sevanam, Prabhupada is telling in that purport, according to one's taste and strength, hearing, chanting and remembrance may be followed by Pada Sevanam. This is number 4 in that list of 9 varieties of devotional service. First is Shravanam, second one is Kirtanam, third one is Smaranam. So after that, 4th one is Pada Sevanam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam is hearing, chanting, remembrance. The 4th one is Pada Sevanam. One obtains the perfection of remembering when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. The perfection of remembrance of the Lord is possible when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. Being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. See? We should carefully read and hear. We think Pada Sevanam means go and serve the lotus feet, which is correct, serving the lotus feet of the Lord. But what are the ways in which you can serve the lotus feet of the Lord? What are the ways in which you can serve the lotus feet of the Lord? One of the ways is intensely thinking, intensely attached to thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord is called Pada Sevanam. You see? Intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet. So how they are all connected, you see? Pada Sevanam is connected in a particular way, rendering this service to the lotus feet is connected to the previous one. connected to thinking, remembering. Thinking, remembering, same thing. And that is also connected to being attached to some particular service. Intensely attached, not just attached. That intense attachment in the 9 steps of development of bhakti, which is that step, intense attachment for devotional service. Asakti. Asakti. First one is Shraddha. Second one is Sadhu Sangha. Quick. Third one. Bhajana Kriya. Fourth one. Anartha Nivritti. Fifth one. Nishta. Ruchi. Sixth one is Asakti. Among the 9 steps. 9 steps or 8 steps? Not sure. 9 steps. 9 steps are there. 7th one is sixth one I said is, no, once again. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. 9 different steps are there. The 9th step is Prema, the highest perfection. So, Asakti means intense attachment for devotional service to the Lord. Intense attachment. What are the characteristics of intense attachment? Attachment we all know, because we already have some attachments, material attachments. What is the characteristic of intense attachment? Absorbed in thinking is intense attachment for thinking. Yes, that's correct. But what is the symptom of, let us say, somebody is intensely attached to chanting? What is the symptom of such a person? What can we say? Eagerness to chant more. But how do we know that he has got eagerness to chant more? Always chanting, constantly chanting. Haridas Thakur, what was he doing? Always chanting. 3 lakh names a day. Almost 24 hours. Almost 24 hours. Chanting Hare Krishna. So that is intense attachment for devotional service. So Prabhupada, many places he says, a pure devotee is 24 hours daily engaged in serving the Lord. That is because of intense attachment to serving the Lord. So, one way of Padasevanam that's distinctly described here in the purport is being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet. Intensely attached to thinking. Means always want to think of the Lord's lotus feet. Constant remembrance. In Nectar of Instruction, in the purport to the 8th verse of Nectar of Instruction, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the Anubhashya of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, the stages of development of bhakti, practically for somebody who is doing sadhana bhakti and wants to make progress. So first of all, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, one must follow the rules and regulations and engage in chanting and hearing about the name, fame, glories, activities, etc. of the Supreme Lord. Then this will lead to constantly doing it. What? Chanting and hearing. Constantly doing this. Then when one becomes fixed up in chanting and hearing regularly, constantly, then one wants to actually render specific service to the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan. Now Vrindavan is not just the physical place Vrindavan, that is Vrindavan of course, but any place where the glories of the Lord are sung by devotees who are dedicated for such glorification. Just like all temples of the Krishna consciousness movement is Vrindavan. Wherever pure devotees are chanting or singing the glories of the Lord, that is also Vrindavan. So all such places one wants to reside, any of such place one wants to reside and render service, the same service, constantly engaged in chanting and hearing. Then that leads to chanting and hearing leads to constant chanting and hearing by following the rules. Constant chanting and hearing leads to residing in a holy place in Mathura or in Vrindavan in order to do such service. That means one wants to do this service, devotional service, in the association of devotees. Just like many times, those who are staying outside and practicing devotional service seriously, they feel that they should also stay in such a temple and do seva, because they can make out the difference, right? For at least some of us, it would have been the impetus to join so that we can nicely stay amidst devotees and do seva. We might have been doing seva outside, but one of the impetus for joining is we can stay amidst devotees and completely engage in devotional service. So similarly, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that a progressive devotee goes through these stages. I'll read that portion in Nectar of Instruction. Because sometimes devotees think that Prabhupada has not given details beyond sadhana bhakti, how to execute sadhana bhakti practically. Practical tips, practical description Prabhupada has not given. Actually, he has given that. If you refer Nectar of Instruction, that purport to the 8th verse. The 8th verse itself is important. You should know what the 8th verse is. The most important verse in Nectar of Instruction. The essence of all advised, iti Upadesha Saram. This book is called Upadesha Amrita, Nectar of Instructions. Among all the instructions, which is the essence of all these instructions, the 8th verse, what is that? The essence of all instructions is that one should utilize one's full time. What is full time? 24 hours a day. How many hours are there in the day? 24 hours. All the time. In nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities and eternal pastimes. Thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. Two things. Engaging one's tongue and mind. Kramena rasana manasi niyojya. In this way, one should reside in Vraja. See, residing in Vraja is not that I want to shift to Vrindavan. By full time engaging in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, form, qualities, eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind, in this way reside in Vraja and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. Obviously, more advanced devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to His devotional service. Intense attachment. Same thing. So in the purport, it's a very big purport. I'll read this portion of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's So he says, one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and His name, form, quality, pastime, so forth. Chanting and remembering. Rasana Manasi Niyojya. Tongue. We have to vibrate the tongue, not chanting in the mind. Chanting by vibrating the tongue. And, of course, one has to engage the mind in remembering. So, for remembering in the mind, one has to not only chant, one should also hear. Chanting and hearing constitutes remembrance. Attentively. Chanting and hearing attentively constitutes remembrance. So here, one should practice without material motives, chanting and remembering Krishna and His name, form, quality, pastimes. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, for chanting and remembering constantly, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Lord Krishna's name, fame, pastimes and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. So for physically residing in Vrindavan, the time is when one has trained his mind by following the regulative principles. Then one has to actually go and reside in Vrindavan. Because then what happens? There is a necessity of seeking direction and protection of an expert devotee. Such an expert devotee actually is one, as described in the verse, who's intensely attached to chanting and hearing and remembering the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee, under such a devotee's guidance. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. Over. Finished. This much Prabhupada has given everything. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given everything. So how serious we have to become about chanting, hearing attentively and thereby remembering and doing it constantly. Constantly means in our present state, practically speaking. 24 hours we cannot do in our present condition. So at least the minimum expected service we should do. 16 rounds at least we should nicely chant and hear attentively. Then after that we have to increase this chanting and hearing attentively. We have to increase and fill all available time with such chanting and hearing attentively. All available time. So for which we have to become efficient in doing other activities which are not necessarily direct devotional service. All such other activities we have to efficiently do in minimum possible time. Generally, people think they should do important activities or some activities efficiently means maximum time they should spend on that. But here it's the reverse. Bodily maintenance, minimum time. It doesn't mean we become dirty and we don't care for cleansing the body or feeding the body. No, we have to. We cannot neglect that. But efficiently we should do in such a way that minimum time is spent so that we save time for increasing chanting, hearing, remembering the Lord's holy name, qualities, pastimes, etc. That is the idea. So, next, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes particular stages of development of this perfection of devotional service. Stages, he gives names. Now, these names you should actually remember. Just like we understand from Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, like that. Here also names are given for the development of stages of progress in this particular way. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. We are all neophytes. So we should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing. This is the beginning. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, beginning of Navavida Bhakti, Shravanam. Prabhupada many places says, devotional service begins with hearing. So Shravana Dasha. Neophyte devotee means Shravana Dasha. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. So we are all in this Shravana Dasha. We have to progress to Varana Dasha. Varana Dasha means that same chanting, hearing, etc. becomes constant. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna, hearing of his pastimes, form, qualities, etc. one comes to the stage of Varana Dasha. That is the second stage. Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha. Then, when one attains this stage, Varana Dasha, he becomes attached to hearing Krishna Katha. Remember the verse in the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter? Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Syat. There, Suta Goswami is telling one should render service to the pure devotee, spiritual master, to develop this Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. Shushrusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Syat. So unless we serve the spiritual master sincerely, without any material motive, without any reservation, unless we serve sincerely, we can't develop this taste for hearing. Without taste, who can do anything constantly? Not possible. We are all engaged in chanting and hearing, but to constantly chant and hear, what is required? A taste is required. And to develop the taste, what is the way? To sincerely render service to the spiritual master according to his instructions. So, Varana Dasha leads to becoming attached to hearing Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he comes to the Smarana Dasha. Smarana Dasha, chanting in ecstasy. This constant chanting and hearing, that is the stage of Varana Dasha. Varana Dasha leads to attachment to hearing. When one becomes attached to hearing, then one is able to chant in ecstasy. One is able to chant in ecstasy. And this is called Smarana Dasha. Now, the 5 progressive stages of Krishna Smarana, remembering Krishna, 5 stages, Smarana Dasha. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance. This is broken down into 5 subdivisions or sub-stages. The third stage, Smarana Dasha, is broken down into 5 sub-stages. First one is recollection. So Srila Prabhupada explains what is that recollection. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals. The beginning, one may not be able to constantly remember Krishna, or even if one wants to remember constantly, some interruptions will be there. Some interruptions will be there. So that is, when interruption is there, what happens? You attempt to remember, chant, hear, remember, and some interruption comes. Again you want to get back to that chanting, hearing and remembrance. So what you have to do then? Recollection. You have to go back to where you paused. Correct? Just like you are sitting and chanting, one phone call comes. You attend to the phone call. Again you have to get back to where you paused. You are reading Bhagavatam. Something you have to attend to in between. You come back and resume from where you stopped. So that is this recollection because of interruption. Then recollection should lead to absorption. Absorption is when remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. Uninterrupted. Of course, one should never imitate all these stages. As is told very clearly, imitating is very dangerous. Just like somebody who wants to lazily sit and do now physical activity. To tell him do some service, he'll say, oh no, I am engaged in constantly remembering and recollecting. I want to do it without interruption. This cheating is not going to help us. Cheating is because they are lazy or they want to imitate advanced devotees. You see? So that cheating should not be done. That's why step by step one should carefully progress one step at a time. And these things take time. It's not easy to, progress from one step to the next. Absorption, meditation. When you become absorbed in chanting and hearing always, without interruption, then naturally your mind gets fixed on chanting and hearing. And that is exactly what is meditation. Prabhupada gives a definition of meditation in one purport in Bhagavatam 10th canto 2nd chapter. Meditation means concentration upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So somebody asked me, concentration upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord means, should we try to keep a picture of the lotus feet of the deity in our mind? So which is what brings me to that Pada Sevanam. How do you do Pada Sevanam? It is not remembering that lotus feet as a picture in the mind. These are all speculation of how to do this remembrance. If you speculate how to do remembrance, then you will try to imagine some or picturize something in the mind. That's not what is told, is the method. So one should actually meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, means constantly, uninterruptedly, and hear the holy name or the pastimes. So that is meditation stage, sub-stage of Smarana. Recollection, absorption, meditation. Then the fourth one is constant remembrance. By meditation, 24 hours a day, one has no other business or engagement for the mind than constant remembrance. 24 hours a day, constant remembrance. And that leads to trance, samadhi, total absorption in meditation. The mind is completely soaked up only in one activity. Only in one activity, no other activity for the mind. Now, the beauty is that the Yadus, it is described in the 10th canto, 90th chapter, the last chapter. They were so attached to Krishna that while eating, sleeping, talking, walking, doing their routine activities, always thinking of Krishna. Always thinking of Krishna. Same thing with Brajavasis. Brajavasis you already know. But have you heard this? You should read this in the 10th canto, 90th chapter. This is what Shukadeva Goswami described of Yadus in Dwarka. They were so attached to Krishna that all the time they are only thinking of Krishna, even while doing ordinary. He says, Shukadeva Goswami says, their other bodily activities were done automatically without their specific attention on those activities. Oh, it is time to eat something? Okay, we'll eat. But eating also, they are not focusing on what is there to eat, how is it made, what is this item. No, they are thinking of Krishna only. You see? Constant remembrance leading to trance. That's why all these Yadus, Brajavasis, they are always in samadhi. That which is the perfection of the Ashtanga Yoga for the yogi, which he may attain after millions and billions of lifetimes, may attain, that is already natural and easy and constantly absorbed in such samadhi for the Yadus, Brajavasis, pure devotees. So easy because of specifically being attached to Krishna, personality of Godhead. That's why bhakti is much, much, much superior compared to the process of Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti is much more superior. No separate endeavor required for such remembrance. Okay? So, these are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana, Smaranavastha. Then, uninterrupted and unceasing Anusmriti, one enters the stage of Samadhi. That's the highest stage of Smarana Dasha, the 5th stage called trance. After Smarana Dasha or Samadhi is fully developed, that is the 3rd step. Remember? Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Dasha. Highest stage of Smarana Dasha is trance or Samadhi, fully developed. The soul comes to understand its original constitutional position. This you have heard many times. What is my original constitutional position? Swarupa. Each one has got a Swarupa. So when will you know your Swarupa? When you have perfected the 3rd step according to this description. Neophyte begins at Shravana Dasha, progresses to Varana Dasha, progresses to Smarana Dasha, perfection of Smarana Dasha, you come to know your constitutional position. This understanding one's or realizing one's constitutional position is called Sampatti Dasha, the 4th step or the 4th stage. of development of bhakti. What is that? Sampatti dasha. Smarana dasha leads to Sampatti dasha. Then, after this Sampatti dasha, one can then serve spontaneously the lotus feet of Krishna without even following the regulated principles. This is the point. Without even following the regulated principles, one can constantly, always, nicely serve Krishna's lotus feet. This is spontaneous devotion. Raga bhakti. Raga bhakti. See, Raga bhakti is still under sadhana bhakti only. There is vidhi bhakti and there is raga bhakti. Vidhi bhakti is following the rules and regulations. But when following the rules and regulations, one is able to spontaneously render service. That is raga bhakti. But still, one has to follow some principles or regulations. What is that? At that stage, the devotee has to follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. Then you need specifically to take shelter of a particular devotee in Vrindavan. Who is that particular devotee? One who is situated in Shantarasa should follow a devotee who is perfected that Shantarasa. One who is, because the constitutional position will reveal our specific type of relationship. Whether in our relationship with Krishna we are situated in Shanta or Dasya or Sakhya or Vatsalya or Madhurya. Accordingly, we have to select the particular perfect devotee in Vrindavan. And one has to follow in the footsteps of such a devotee. This is when it is required to actually go to Vrindavan. Vrindavan means, of course, the place Vrindavan. It can also be the place where such a devotee resides and is rendering this spontaneous service to Krishna and the spontaneous platform. Perfected devotee. Wherever that devotee is. So one has to take shelter of such a devotee and then render and follow in the footsteps of such a devotee. So all these neophyte devotees jumping to some Babaji's instructions in Vrindavan, Siddha Pranali. Some devotees did that during Prabhupada's physical presence. And even now some devotees keep doing that. But actually these are all simply cheap imitation. The fellow is not even able to chant properly 64 rounds every day, and he'll go to Vrindavan and he wants to take Siddha Pranali, some special mantra. I heard one devotee in Delhi, he told me, actually I am very eager and anxious to know what is my constitutional position in relationship with Krishna. I said, you have to wait for that. No, I want to know now itself. So, this, of course, eagerness may not be a wrong thing, but why before one becomes qualified should one even attempt this? This is the point. Why should one attempt this before one becomes qualified to know? And the qualification is clearly given in Nectar of Instruction. Somebody told me, where is Prabhupada given us all these directions? How will we know our constitutional position? Prabhupada is clearly given here. Has he not given clearly? They won't read all this. Nectar of instruction, वो तो neophytes के लिए है. I am very advanced devotee. Will not read even nectar of devotion. I will just casually, summarily read. Won't even take note of all these things. And then say, Prabhupada has not given us, not taught us. So, carefully studying Srila Prabhupada's books is so important. Only then we will realize Prabhupada has given us A to Z everything to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna Prema. Everything Prabhupada has given. One other place Prabhupada says, the spiritual master who initiates a devotee into chanting Hare Krishna and gives instructions for a devotee to progress in devotional service will reveal the Sambandha Jnana at the appropriate time. That's what this is. The Sambandha Jnana, constitution position, will be revealed at that time. What are the stages you have to go through? Sampatti Dasha you have to come to, the fourth stage. You have to go through Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Dasha. Then, after complete total absorption in Samadhi, then you come to Sampatti Dasha. So, till then you have to wait. You have to patiently execute devotional service properly, following the rules and regulations. You cannot violate 64 principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. You cannot violate. Obviously, to come to perfection of Vaidhi Bhakti, one has to give up all offenses. In deity worship, there are 64 offenses. In chanting the holy name, there is 10 offenses. Nama aparad, seva aparad, Vaishnava aparad. So many aparads are there. All that we have to give up. And then we have to follow the 64 principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. 64 different engagements are there. Only then it is possible to constantly engage. 24 hours a day. Without that, it's not possible. Why should Rupa Goswami write all that? 64 different engagements for a devotee. It's for neophyte devotees. 64 engagements are there. So we have to go through what are the 64 engagements and engage ourselves. And Srila Prabhupada, you know why? He says, why these 64 different activities have been listed? Because these 64 activities are varieties of seva we can do. See, our mind, if you tell do only one thing, in the neophyte stage, is it possible? Tell me. To do only one thing. Actually, one thing if you do throughout the day, it's enough. Not that you do all 64. That's not what is required. Absolute necessity, no. But then our mind is restless. It is jumping around like a monkey. Even 16 rounds we cannot completely fix our mind. Uninterrupted way. We're trying to fix. So how do you expect, without varieties of engagement, our mind will get fixed up? So therefore, Rupa Goswami has given varieties of engagement. And what are these varieties made of? They are different types of engagement for the body, mind, and words. All our activities are done with these three. Physical activities, verbal activity, mental activity. So what are the ways, varieties of physical activity? What are the varieties of physical activity? What are the varieties of mental activity? So you can take down an assignment, go through the 64 activities and classify them. Which are physical variety belong to the physical variety, which belong to the verbal variety, and which belong to the mental variety. And some activities will be all the three, some activities will be two of the three, some activity will be only one of the three. That also is explained by Prabhupada in one purport in second canto. See, what all Prabhupada has explained, unless you read properly Prabhupada's books, you will not get to properly understand all this. In terms of practical application, we have to apply all this. It's not merely reading, I know. That's not enough. We have to apply. You see, it's a serious business, this devotional service. Ashram life doesn't mean Vishram. Ashram doesn't mean Vishram, relaxing nicely. No, ashram means intense activity. It's opposite of what people think of ashram. Outsiders, when they think, oh, you're living in ashram, maje mein hai, aram hai. It is just the opposite. It's just the opposite. At least in Krishna conscious movement, it's the opposite. That much you can safely say. That's why our parents also sometimes can't understand what this boy will go and do. 24 hours he'll be doing some bhajane martira. 24 hours. 24 gante kurkanu bhajane. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Who will give you food? One parent of one devotee who joined was asking, who will give you food? You have to work. You have to work. I said, we are engaged in working. Prabhupada told one reporter, I am working more than you. How many hours do you work? I am working 18 hours. How many hours you are working? So the reporter was completely, taken aback. They don't understand what this bhakti is all about. So many misconceptions. Even those who talk of bhakti outside, they think something sentimental, something mental. That's all. Some emotion, some feeling at the mind level, feeling not at the soul level, at the mind level. That is not bhakti. That's not true bhakti. So like this, if you study carefully, you'll get clear direction for actually seriously engaging in devotional service and making progress to actually reach the perfection of Krishna Prema. Okay, we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.